Hello and welcome to the Saltcast. My name is Ryan Johnson, and today I present to you Paul Johnson and Danny Wright. Welcome and good morning, guys.
Hello.
Thanks, Ryan. Glad to be
Good
here.
morning. Life's good. We've
All right.
had monsoon weather like 3 days in a row in St. George.
This is true. This is true. It's been awesome.
We've had no rain, but I'm okay with that because we get a lot of snow in Idaho. So we have our fair share of liquid.
We sent the sunshine your way, Ryan. Thanks for
Thank
trading.
goodness. It's definitely been hot. It's hot. It's been hot. It's been like 96 degrees,
That's warm.
which is hot in Idaho.
Yeah, it's cooler here in St. George.
Yeah, no, it's way better than St. George. Hot wise, I will not complain about the heat. So, today, fellas, I thought that we would go through a actual, real What's Next call. Okay? You guys are on What's Next calls all the time, giving advice to everybody. And, everybody kind of has a unique situation, but there might be some advice that would be similar. There might be people going through the same, type of scenario, but everyone's structured different and things like that. But so I thought that you guys, Danny, you could be, a role play of sorts. Danny, you could be, the company calling in, and Paul, you just be Paul.
I'm real good at being Paul.
Doing your thing. Okay, good.
The best Paul Johnson ever met.
Yeah. But I want to tell everybody listening that this is based on a true story. No lie.
Names
So, Danny,
have been changed to protect identity.
Names have been changed. That's right. So, Danny, take it away, man.
I like Ryan's change in voice there. Really set the stage, Really building this up, Danny.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be the company owner, and I set up this call with Peisner, right, with Peisner Johnson, because I got some sales tax issues, and actually the way Peisner lured me in is they gave me this sweet Peisner hat. See, brand new, sticker on it still.
Ooh, baby.
Just representing. So
I'm curious if you found Peisner through our chat feature on our website, or was it a referral partner, or just a Google search?
I actually I was just searching and found the Saltcast, found this
That's
podcast,
amazing.
and
Ooh.
I heard Ryan and Paul's voice, and I'm like, man, those are two
That's
fabulous
amazing.
radio voices. So I got to get on the phone with these guys. So here I am. How do we do this thing, Paul?
That's amazing.
How
Thank
should
you.
this call go?
Yeah, I suppose you should tell us a little bit about your business. Tell us a little bit about who you are. Obviously, we'll just pretend like we've already introduced ourselves for our listeners here. They already know Peisner Johnson and who we are and what we do.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your company, what you do, and
Okay.
where you sell, and what platforms you're on.
Yeah, I was having back issues several years ago, and really liked to golf, and it was keeping me from golfing as much as I want to. So I actually invented this like golf club training tool. I won't go into all the details, but it's a training tool. It's size, weight, everything similar to a actual golf club. But it also has some special features, you could say, or benefits to actually help stretch out the back, work on your spine. A lot of people have probably seen different kind of wheels and whatnot that you can use for your back, different products, that you kind of lay on. It's got some of that, concept, you could say, to it. So anyways, I created it, and started working through Instagram. Got some good followers and whatnot, and just kind of built the brand a lot through social media, and
Nice.
just built a website. Everything's e-commerce, not in any retail stores or anything like that. But yeah,
Okay.
we've grown a bunch over the years, especially in the last 3 years, I'd say. And you know, COVID, for example. I mean, it was actually the biggest thing for golf since probably Tiger Woods. It's the courses were crazy busy, and Tiger's the GOAT, by the way.
It's true.
Don't come at me with the Jack Nicklaus argument.
Okay. Okay.
But
Tony Finau recently won. I mean,
so, so anyways, yeah, just things took off because, of course, e-commerce businesses in general, right, got really busy. A lot of them, they were set up to, take advantage, of course, when people were shopping online more than ever. So it was a perfect storm for us.
do you manufacture this product, or do you just buy it and resell it?
So we
How do you get
we
this
have it
product?
manufactured for us overseas, and then everything
Okay.
ships to our warehouse in Florida.
Okay.
And one one of the major issues I've had, we actually, all of our employees are actually based in Costa Rica. So they live there. They're all remote. We actually have a little facility there, but more of an office. And it's just been, a great option for us. I'm able to go visit there all the time, which isn't a bad
Nice.
thing, and spend a lot of time there with the family. But the main issue that brought me to you guys is I've just received some terrible advice over the years. Some specifically was from someone that, there's, I won't go into all the details, but there's a lawsuit involved, and one of the issues with them and their advice they gave me was when I had my website and it was really, starting to grow, and they kind of put the fear in me of for sales tax, and it's like, okay, I don't know, I need to collect tax, and that's exactly what they told me is you need to start collecting tax all over the place. Wherever you're making
But you
sales,
weren't
collect
registered.
tax.
But you weren't registered to remit the tax?
No, I'm only registered in 2 states. I'm registered in Florida, and I'm registered in Tennessee, where I have one. My partner actually lives in Tennessee. So when we
Okay.
started the business, we got registered there based on some advice. I don't know if that's even correct, but yeah, we're registered in 2 states, and we're collecting tax everywhere.
Okay.
And then, so I've
And
just
you,
caught wind, like all this tax, like what am I supposed to do with the tax? Like, am I supposed to be collecting everywhere?
yeah, tax collected unremitted, we talk about it a lot. It's not a good thing and can be considered fraud in almost every case. Um, so we certainly want to take care of and assist you in getting compliant. But I think one of the things that is most important here is that have you turned the tax off, or are you still collecting the tax?
We turned it off.
Oh, you turned it
Yeah,
off. Okay.
everywhere.
So there was a time there where you were collecting tax. And what were your annual sales, if you were to guess or estimate, or maybe exactly, over the last 3 years since you started? Were they pretty material, or the pretty material?
Last year we did just north of like 5 million.
Oh, wow.
And we went from like 1 to 3, 3
Oh,
in
wow.
2020, and then we kind of went to just under 4. Well,
Props to
it
you
was
guys
no, it's, yeah,
for
we
booming so
went to,
quickly.
we went to
That's
3
awesome.
in 2020, and then did
That's
over
awesome.
5 last year.
That's incredible. So do you still have this tax you collected? Like, do you have it in a separate account, or
No, I mean,
oh no.
it's just it's part of the growth, right? It was fueled by investment, our own investment, I should
Yikes.
say, right? Back into the company,
Yikes.
buying product, all that stuff. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, that's a little bit of a sticky situation there.
And I don't know how
Tax
much
collected,
tax I
unremitted.
even collected, right? I haven't actually run a report,
Sure,
but
sure.
I certainly don't have millions of dollars in the bank.
Yeah. Well, I think the probably what would make the most sense right now is to do a risk analysis and take a high overview of the company, the footprint, get a report of all the transactions, of all the sales you've made over the last 3 years, and we can help identify where Nexus has been established. Since you are registered in Florida and Tennessee, that's correct. If you've got your warehouse and inventory stored in Florida, then that's good. You want to stay registered in Florida. And in Tennessee, where your other partner is located, it's good to be registered there as well, as you have physical presence there. Employees, a warehouse, office locations, those will give you physical presence, as well as if you make deliveries in your own vehicles, or if you just use a common carrier for those. If you have any type of third-party relationships, generally that will establish physical nexus for you. If you've got contractors or agents, if you outsource any labor for some weird reason, you need to fabricate or make some additions, changes, or enhancements to the equipment that you are selling. Oftentimes that will maintain a physical location or presence for you to establish physical nexus. So we'll do this risk analysis, which will identify where you've established physical nexus, and then we'll get a report from you of all of the sales you've made over the last 3 years, kind of like an invoice level detail report. Here's the invoice. Here's how much it sold for. Here's how much tax I collected if you collected tax, and then the customer's address where you shipped that product to. And then we'll be able to identify where you've established economic nexus, when that nexus was established, and from that point going forward, we'll be able to calculate what your potential tax liability is. It's important to note here, I think the way that we most commonly do this is we disregard the tax that was collected and calculate what your tax liability is from that date going forward when nexus was established. Once we've calculated that, then we can compare that against what tax you have collected, and then we could take a look at it there. I tell you this because under audit, it's possible that if you collected tax in 2020, but you didn't establish nexus until 2021, obviously the state's going to want that tax you collected from 2020 until 2021. Legally, you weren't obligated to collect the tax until 2021. And so there's a couple of ways that we can go about that, and we can get approval from the state on this, if you'd like, just depending on your risk tolerance and what you'd like to do in order to get compliant. We have some clients who have collected this tax, and obviously they want to remit this tax. And then we've also had scenarios where clients just like yourself will say, hey, I've collected this tax, but I can't remit it. I don't have it. And so we'll help make a game plan of how to remit that tax to the state, because under audit, you really don't want that on your radar, on the books. For the state to come in and find that you collected their tax and didn't remit it, it will lead to very bad things. And so I want to help you overcome that and fix that if you're willing to. If you're not willing to, then we'll have to go down a different path.
What if I
Once we've
collected the tax
Go ahead.
in a state, like that scenario mentioned, but because I started collecting right around May, let's say, of 2020.
Okay.
If similar to that scenario described, I didn't have nexus until, say, last year, right, 2021.
Yeah.
Do I still have to remit that tax to the state, or are there other options?
You could certainly, if you are able to, just depending on the number of transactions, you could certainly refund it to the customer.
Okay.
And if you could refund that tax to customers, hey, I inappropriately collected this tax from you, I'm going to go ahead and refund it, then you can certainly do that. Oftentimes it is difficult to refund tax to a customer, and you make as many sales as you do. I don't know the average cost of this product, but if it's $20 and you made $3 million, then obviously that's a lot of sales, a lot of customers to refund the tax to. And so in that case, it is a lot easier to simply remit the tax to the state.
Yeah, I'm just
But you
thinking,
can definitely
you
refund it.
know, our average sale's closer to like $100,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm actually thinking it could be kind of a good like PR slash marketing campaign to go to all my customers and go through the work and effort to actually go give them money back, right? Like
For sure.
I don't think too
Yeah,
many people are going to
that'd
be
be great.
upset about that. So except
I
my
think we,
crew in Costa Rica that's going to have to go through and do all the work, they
yeah.
might not be too happy, but
Well, we'll definitely assist you with that. I think it would definitely make most sense to absolutely confirm when Nexus was established so that we know, okay, here's when Nexus was established. So anything prior to that we can refund to the
okay.
customers. You'd hate to refund tax to a customer only to realize that you should have really collected it and remitted it to the state.
Okay.
So let's make certain that we know when Nexus was established, make certain that we get all the facts straight, and then we'll be able to assist in going forward. You bet.
Yeah, it sounds like exactly what we need. What about once? So you're saying on a state by state basis, we'll be able to see when we establish Nexus, when we should have started collecting tax, and then we can compare that to the report that my team can pull of like how much tax we've actually collected, and so then it's just
Yeah.
a decision of how to handle that in each state. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So based on when Nexus was established, we'll calculate what the tax responsibility is on those sales from that point going forward, or from when you are required to register. Some states say if you establish Nexus, you have to register by the following January, or you have to register by the following quarter, or you have to register in the next month. Just depending on the states, we'll be able to identify, okay, here's when you exceeded Nexus the threshold, whether it be physical or economic or what have you. Here's when your requirement to register and start collecting taxes from this point going forward till today. Here's what your tax responsibility is based off of that Nexus date. Because Nexus is really the key factor. Until you've established Nexus, the state can't impose you collect their tax. Now, you can certainly voluntarily register, collect the tax, and remit it without establishing Nexus, but you have to register in order to do that. You can't just collect tax and use it for your own gain, and that's why it's considered fraudulent in just about every case. So we don't want to do that, but we can certainly assist. And if the tax responsibility is material, then there are a couple of avenues that we can go down as far as like a voluntary disclosure agreement, potentially an SST registration, or an SST compliance. Potentially the state has an SST is like a streamlined sales tax. It's a special program for e-commerce sellers that allows them to register with the Streamlined Sales Tax Board, and it kind of makes it a little bit easier. We can dive into more details once we get down that road. But doing that just kind of helps streamline that process. You can also check the states to see if they have a current amnesty program in place where they're willing to forgive historical liability, or they'll waive historical penalty and or interest if you're willing to come forward and pay the tax. There are a couple of different avenues that we can go just based off of the reports that we run and based off what we find. And then we can help you get compliant and walk through that state by state.
Do the states offer like payment plans?
Yeah, the states will offer payment plans. Some states are more gracious than other states, and depending on the situation or the scenario, they're either more gracious or more strict. What we have found is if the state has found you and they're sending you notices and they've frozen your bank account. I don't know if that's the case in either Florida or Tennessee for you, but if that's the case, then oftentimes they're less willing to work with you. But if you're coming to them voluntarily and getting compliant, then yeah, they're willing to work with you and set up payment plans over a year. It's not uncommon for a 6-month to 12-month payment plan from what we've seen.
Okay.
If you need more than 12 months, then just depends on the state, but we can certainly request it. But I mean, a 6 to 12-month payment plan is pretty common.
Yeah, it sounds like exactly what we need. What are the next steps?
So we'll get over an agreement, but we'll want to complete that risk analysis. So I'll send you a questionnaire, a link to a questionnaire to complete, and then we'll request from you the transactional data, and either we can download that data if you give us access to the platforms where you're making sales, your website and so on and so forth, or you could just send us all the transactional data and we can use that to complete the risk analysis. Once we complete the risk analysis, then we'll send that to you, and we'll schedule a conference call and walk through that. Here's what we found, here's the dates, here's the liability, here's what it means, and then we can start making a game plan on getting compliant, getting registered, or submitting voluntary disclosures, or what have you, and moving forward. Once we've done that, I think it's also one of the other things that I felt to ask you is if in Florida or Tennessee, on any purchases that you're making, are you guys paying sales tax? Because it's possible on any purchases that you're buying there in Florida or Tennessee that it's possible that those may be exempt from tax, and so where you are paying tax on that to a specific vendor, depending on the use and what you're doing. It's also possible that we can help identify some overpayments of tax to kind of help reduce the tax responsibility or tax burden that comes out of your own pocket.
Yeah, I know we have a resale certificate in Florida that we've provided to a supplier to, a handful of suppliers even,
okay.
But I mean, by all means, if we can find some.
I would love to look into that for you.
That'd be great.
Sure.
Well,
yeah,
Eisner, you guys are the best. I'm gonna tell all my friends about you. And my enemies.
Appreciate it.
I'll tell
we
everybody.
appreciate it.
Guys, Danny made a funny comment right before we started, but man, it came true because, it started out as a thriller or a horror film, but quickly turned into like a rom-com, chick flick, budding romance going on
There's
here.
there's definitely some things that we can do to help, provide some peace of mind and comfort, and there's forgiveness to be had, Yeah, we're doing wrong. We need to, ask for forgiveness from the states. And the states, I mean, if you go to them before they come to you, they'll be more forgiving, if you will. Obviously, they're going to want their tax. There's no way around that. But we can definitely help in that regard to help mitigate that as much as possible.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I think, this is a great, podcast to showcase kind of what a What's Next call, and Paul, definitely your knowledge and the peace of mind that you can provide to people who are really, because I could tell, when Danny came on, he had some major fear in his mind showing on his face.
For sure.
And he was nervous. Bad advice.
And this one was a fairly straightforward one in that they don't have a whole lot going on. They don't offer dietary supplements or any weird items that aren't going to be subject to tax. I mean, it's possible that what you're selling is a service that is bundled, or it's possible that you're selling an item that's subject to a reduced rate, or that there are certain customers that are exempt, or maybe you do a lot of government sales or school sales, or there's some exempt entities involved. And so there's always lots of other things that help make it more complex. But in the same vein, like the answers are still very similar in how you go about helping companies get compliant. And that's what we love to do the most, is just walk through that with people, help them understand, you're trying to make a dollar, you're trying to provide a living for your family and running a business. I mean, the taxes are the last thing you're trying to be stressed about or worried about. So let us help you in fixing those and resolving those and help you get compliant so that you don't have to stress about it anymore.
No, that was beautifully said, and despite this just being a role play, you guys took it seriously. I love that. And that just shows me that you guys take everybody's situation seriously. No matter what you're bringing to the table, you guys will be there to help. So again,
No doubt.
thank you guys so much, and we hope to see you on another one.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
Go check out my